What's going on, everybody? Y'all already know the vibes, baby. And today I'm going to be doing my CDL preseason tier list, power rankings, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to break it down, almost as perfectly as I can. So as you guys can see here, thanks to the homie Rose, who is my thumbnail guy. So I'm going to try and be as unbiased as I can in this tier list. And with that being said, I'm starting in the S tier. And there's only one team that is deserving of S tier at the moment, and that will be the Atlanta FaZe. The reason is not only have they looked really good in scrims, in Vanguard, they are the defending champions. Okay, they are the reigning champions of last year. I know it's a different Call of Duty, but you need to give them a certain level of respect. And like I said, it's not like they haven't been good in scrims in Vanguard, right? And they haven't been good online in Vanguard. But you just have to realize that they're the champs. For right now, Atlanta FaZe will be the lone team in the S tier. Now, moving on to the A tier, the second best team in the game, I would say right now is... Did I say moving on to the A tier or the S tier? Well, regardless, it is Optic Texas. I personally do think that Optic Texas is the second best team in the game. So in the offseason, Optic merged with Envy, coming up with Optic Texas, which the name could be a little bit better, but they were able to build a powerhouse team with that merger. Scump, Shotzzy, Illy, Dashy. I mean, on paper, this team truly rivals Atlanta FaZe, I think, talent-wise. Obviously, when it comes down to teamwork and team chemistry and just how the players play with one another, that's another story. It's going to take time for any team, even a team with the likes of Shotzzy, of Scump, of Dashy, of Illy, to really kind of see if they can get their team play on the same level as a team like Atlanta FaZe. But I really like this team. I think this is the perfect team for Scump, especially like teaming with a bunch of young, hungry players that just want to win, and that's it. And yeah, they're the second best team in the game for me right now. Now, moving on to number 3, also going in the A tier, it's going to be Toronto Ultra. Okay, they had a great season last year in Cold War, a very surprising season to say the least. I don't think anyone going into the year thought Toronto Ultra was even going to be a top 4 team, and they ended up being the second best team in the game. You have a veteran player like Bance, but then you have some new guys, right? They had Cammy, they had Kleenex, and then the most recent pickup that they had, who turned into the rookie of the year, was Insight. He helped really just turn this team around after they picked him up over Methods, or when they benched Methods. And it was kind of quite shocking, just because one player making this much of a difference. Like, they weren't bad necessarily with Methods, but they were just a completely different looking team with Insight. And I think maybe his play style, just the way he works the map with his team, obviously his talent, he's a fantastic player. But so far in Vanguard, from what I've not only seen and heard, okay, they have been kind of picking up right where they left off. Still very dominant in S&D, and their respawn is very good. It's not on par with, the FaZe, maybe the Optic, but it is close enough. And their S&D still, I guess, has been pretty dominant. And we'll just have to wait and see. Because like I said, it is possible for teams one year to be really good, be dominant, and then the next year, they're just kind of average. But I think right now, you also have to give them their respect. And I have them in the A tier, and I have them sitting at number 3. They're in a comfy 3rd place spot. And then this is where it gets interesting, okay? Because nobody, maybe some of you out there will agree, but nobody is probably guessing what team I'm going to put in at number 4 and also in the A tier, but it is going to be the Seattle Surge. The Seattle Surge, on paper, they don't look like an unbelievable team, right? Respectfully, of course. I mean, they have accuracy, but they don't look special. They have 2 new young guys in Sib and Pred, which I'm excited to watch them get their, first, maybe not first taste of LAN experience. It might be. But just kind of see how they perform under pressure, right? When there's money on the line. Like, this is the first real series that matter for these players, especially a guy like Pred, who I know he comes from Australia. So he's going to be, playing the cream of the crop when it comes to competition. But since basically the beginning of Vanguard, Seattle has been a very good team. I think they maybe regressed a little bit from early on in Vanguard, but they're like a very consistent top team, I would say, in the game right now. Where they can basically beat any team, at least online, at least in scrims. They can compete. They can compete at the highest level, and I'm excited because I'm a big fan of Accuracy. That's my guy, Beatty, and I want him to do well. And I also want the new young guns, right? The guys who are just getting their feet wet, really in the CDL and the professional level of Call of Duty. I want to see them succeed. But this is completely unbiased, obviously, because I hate Seattle Surge. Thank you very much for Modern Warfare and them. And yeah, I think that they are amongst the other teams in the A tier. I think they deserve this spot. Now, moving on to the B tier, the 5th best team in the game is going to be Boston Breach. Now, this is tough because everything that we've seen so far is online, right? Is just scrims. But like I said, Boston Breach, they probably have more reps and more practice in this game right now than a lot of the teams in the CDL. And they're the most recent team that joined the CDL: Methods, TJ Haley, Nero Poison, and Capsule. And I feel like B tier is a good spot for them. Because I know that they have been playing well in scrims versus a lot of the CDL teams. The only thing that worries me and why I wouldn't put them at A tier along with Optic, Toronto, and Seattle is they have TJ Haley, they have Methods. Okay. Nero Poison and Capsule, they're obviously the newcomers. They're the young guns. Okay. Similar to Pred and Sib on Seattle Surge. And I'm not saying that they're going to do bad by any means. I'm not saying that they don't have potential, but you have to wait and see until this first LAN, kind of how they perform, right? To get an accurate read on them, because scrims online are completely different than an event atmosphere on LAN. It's just, you can't even compare the two, in my opinion. But they've been grinding a lot. I think that is one of the reasons why they've been performing as well as they have. They have more reps. They just have a better understanding than, maybe even some of the teams that I have ranked above them. But they definitely have a better understanding than the majority of the CDL teams. I just don't know if this is where they're going to kind of fall off over time, because on paper and, just when you compare them to a lot of these other teams, no disrespect to Boston Breach, but they just don't look like the most talented team. Now, teamwork triumphs all for the most part. Teamwork makes the dream work. You can be a consistent top team if your team understands the game at a higher level and you have better teamwork than majority of the other teams. The talent is kind of the difference maker in terms of being a contender or like actually being a championship team. It's one of the reasons why Atlanta FaZe is so good, because they have the best of both worlds. But so far for right now, I have Boston Breach coming at the 5th spot, and they are the first team in the B tier. I just can't place them at A tier with the others, unfortunately. And then joining the Boston Breach, 6th best team in the league. Unfortunately, it sucks that I have to put them here, but it is the Los Angeles Thieves. And listen, okay, I've watched a decent amount of their scrims, or seen it back, or saw the results. Okay, I know that they aren't in the S tier. Okay, I know that they're not even in the A tier at the moment. But here's the thing, their scrims are just very hit or miss. I've seen them play very well. I've seen them play not so hot. Okay, most of the time it seems like they are splitting maps, or they're barely winning the series, barely losing the series, whatever the case may be. None of that matters though. Like, it might matter a little bit, right? But winning and losing a series doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, how every professional is treating practice, or at least how they should, is to improve, right? To figure out what you need to work on, what you're doing well as a team, what you're doing well individually, and what you're not doing so well, and how to improve on that. So, you know, if you're just splitting maps or you're really winning scrims or really losing scrims, it doesn't matter if you can take away something from the scrim. All right, we know this team on paper looks unbelievable. They have Octane, they have Kenny, they have Envoy, they have Draza. Like, this is a very, very stacked roster. And we're going to see where they stand at this LAN. You know, this is going to be a real interesting event for them because they've been playing from LA. Okay, in all these scrims, they've been playing from LA. It's not the best place to play online. When it comes to gaming, you don't really want to live in Los Angeles. Okay, but we're lucky enough to have LAN events back, at least for the time being. So, you know, if you don't have to worry about the stress of online gaming, LA is fantastic. But this is going to be a make or break. I think LAT could easily be in the A tier, and I think that they could easily be in the C tier. But we're just going to have to see where they stand in the series this weekend. Hopefully they make a run. You know, you guys saw in my CDL pick'ems, I had them win the whole thing. I want to see them win the whole thing. And do I think it's possible? I do. Is it likely? Probably not. But I want to see them succeed. But being completely unbiased, I think they are definitely in the B tier, the sixth best team. I think basically all these teams that I'm going to be putting in the B tier are kind of interchangeable right now. Since it is the preseason, we really haven't got a taste of how these guys are going to perform on LAN. But I think 6 is fair. Okay, completely unbiased, right in the middle, smack dab, average as hell. And then coming in at the number 7 spot, also in the B tier, it's going to be NYSL, the team led by Clayster and Crimsix. They obviously kept Hydra, and they have Neptune, the Young Guns. This team, I'll be honest, I haven't seen much from. I got some of their scrim results. It wasn't necessarily impressive, but it also wasn't bad. You know, like a lot of other teams, it was pretty much half and half from what I was able to see. And that's kind of what's going to happen in the beginning of games because teams, you know, barring a few, are all learning the game, right? They're all trying to master the game as fast as they can. They're learning what works, what doesn't work, yada, yada, yada. But this team has a lot of talent. They have a lot of leadership. And I think they're going to be very consistent when the time comes, especially performing on LAN and, you know, playing up to the moments in those big series. Moving on to the 8th best team in the CDL. I got Los Angeles Guerrillas. Okay. I was thinking if I wanted to put them in the B tier, and I think I will. I think all of these teams right now are interchangeable, realistically. I mean, I could be completely wrong in all of these. You know, this list could all change after we see the CDL kickoff, because that is really going to be the first test for all of these teams and see how they perform. But LAG, I know for a while Slasher wasn't even playing Vanguard. I thought the guy was trying to go pro in Halo Infinite. But this team, they have a lot of potential. I love the makeup of the team. I said it in the CDL Pick'ems video that I made. It just comes down to the amount of reps that they got, because you have someone like Gunless, right, who is a freak in a good way, where he is normally just always going to want to grind. And if he's not grinding, he's trying to learn. He's trying to watch VODs and, you know, improve his craft as well as improving his team. And Slasher's the same way, but if Slasher doesn't like a game, he doesn't really want to play it, you know, and that's kind of where he was at in the beginning of Vanguard. I think it has gotten better, and I can't blame him, by the way. I can't blame him, just because it's tough. It's tough when the game just feels like it's not even done. You know, you're playing like an alpha. But I think they have something to prove, and similar to the rest of the teams in the B tier, I think they haven't looked great, but they haven't looked horrible. And that's why they're in the B tier. You know, they're solid. Next up, the 9th best team in the game, but unfortunately will not be joining any other teams in the B tier. I have Minnesota Rocker. I really want to put this team higher. I do. I'm a big Attached fan, big Priesta fan. I mean, honestly, all the guys on the team, but those are my boys. You know, I teamed with them when I played. They just haven't looked as good as I guess I was hoping for. They still are a strong S&D team, but I just think right now they're kind of behind, you know, the rest of these teams on this list, and they have a little bit of catching up to do. You know, that's what is important right now going into the kickoff and even at the kickoff, because it's only $30,000 prize pool or whatever it is, or 30,000 for first. I don't know, but it's important to understand that this isn't that important. I think Minnesota has some catching up to do, so I have them at number 9. Then coming in at number 10, also in the C tier, I have London Royal Ravens. I'll be honest, I haven't really been able to watch as much, if any, actually, unless they were playing a team or playing LAT of their practice, but I don't really know many of these players. So this is partially just because I can't gauge their talent. The only player I truly know is Zero, which Zero is an unbelievable player. I know Afro was on London last year and he was performing very well, even though the team wasn't that great. But Nasty and Gizmo, 2 new players. I'm excited to see how they perform this weekend, but this is a preseason tier list. You know, I can't put them any higher than any of these other teams. Hopefully they can prove me wrong, because I love Trey's my guy and I want to see him do well. But I have them coming in number 10. And then I'm just going to combo these together. Both of these teams are in the D tier. Coming in number 11, Florida Mutineers. Coming in number 12, Paris Legion. Once again, the teams just don't look well. I mean, they're not sick. Maybe some of them are sick. I don't know if they are. I hope they feel better. But they don't look good on paper to me. Not the players by any means. The teams just don't look well formed. I don't understand why these two teams were made how they were made, but it's not my position. I'm not a GM, you know, even though I would be fucking probably better than most of these goddamn GMs. But I don't see anything happening out of these two teams right now. You know, it's still early, but I would assume that if either of these two want to actually become a top team, or at least, you know, a contender, there's going to need to be some sort of roster changes, but I could be wrong. Okay. This weekend is going to be a huge help to not only me, but to all the players, all the teams involved, to really see where they stand. But that's my tier list. I think it is pretty unbiased. Okay. Like I said, it's hard. It's really hard with online scrims to kind of gauge how good or bad a team is. But let me know what you guys think. Because last video, y'all were cooking me, man, for gassing, you know, the team I stand, LAT, baby. But I think this is fair, okay? And if you want me to be even more unbiased, like I said, I think these teams in the B tier are almost interchangeable. Let me know if you think I'm fucking stupid again, or you think I'm pretty spot on. All right, have a good one. Stay safe, stay healthy. I'm gonna see y'all when I see y'all.